Welcome back to Upgo Wise. Today, we're looking at Oliver Burkeman's 4,000 Weeks. Now, we aren't here to hand you just another manual for perfectly polishing your schedule. Instead, we're going to use this book as a mirror. We're going to expose exactly what that heavily protected, color-coded calendar of yours is actually hiding from you.
Your calendar isn't full. It's hiding the grief of choosing. You overbook to feel safe, but you just feel trapped.
I really hate to admit how painfully accurate this is, but what if your jam-packed week isn't ambition at all? What if it's just fear, neatly dressed up with formatting? We keep adding shelves to this tiny room, absolutely convinced that once our system is perfectly optimized, our most meaningful work will finally fit. You accept one more duty because it feels like a receipt, proof that you're useful. But it doesn't prove you're alive. It only proves you're absolutely terrified of judgment.
4,000. This book bluntly names the math that our polite ambition usually tries its hardest to avoid. A human lifespan is roughly 4,000 weeks. That's it. It sounds like a standard time management metric, but it's actually about waking up and surrendering the total fantasy of infinite time. It's the inescapable gravity of our existence. Think about it. I cannot live every life. All that hyper-scheduling you're doing, it's really just a sophisticated, exhausting way to delay saying this one brutal gate-opening sentence. You might tell yourself that keeping your options open is the realistic approach. But open options quickly turn into a life spent constantly rehearsing exits, instead of actually living the life right in front of you.
Section 1. The Trap of Efficiency. A clear deck does not stay clear.
Here's where the math gets genuinely deep, and we start to see how time management becomes a deeply ingrained self-protective habit. To quote 4,000 Weeks, a clear deck does not stay clear. It invites more ships. You know the feeling, right? You think, okay, as soon as my inbox is at 0, then I'll write. Once the errands shrink, I'll make that call. But here's the harsh reality. Efficiency just makes you look more available to the world. The faster you clear the deck, the more demands simply arrive on your doorstep. So how do you protect your day? By becoming relentlessly efficient or by aggressively refusing more work? Look closely, because both of these choices carry equal gravity, and both can hide the exact same wound. Using efficiency to avoid your real project is simply fear with a stopwatch. Using refusal to guard your comfort zone is fear with a boundary. The specific misunderstanding beneath both of these reactions is that you're treating time as a storage container you can pack perfectly, instead of a currency you are forced to spend. Time is spending, and that means every yes buys one future and burns another. Every single choice you make is inherently a funeral for all those other possible lives you could have lived. You are spending your time even while you're agonizing over how to spend it. The goal of all this isn't some perfect, mythical work-life balance. The goal is honest loss, because a postponed life is still a spent life.
Section 2. The Bent Orbit. Finitude as Gravity. I want you to picture your schedule not as a rigid spreadsheet, but as a bent orbit reacting to a massive force. Finitude, the undeniable fact that your time is desperately limited, is not a cosmic flaw for you to fix. It is the gravity that gives your path its shape. A planet's gravity doesn't block an orbit, it draws it. In the exact same way, your limits don't block your life, they draw it.
Do a quick tactile test with me right now. Step 1. Open your palm. Just imagine every role, every skill, and every dream you have placed right there. Now, step 2, close your fist tightly around just one thing. Step 3, let the rest fall. That falling feeling, that is not failure. That fall is your life finally taking shape. As Berkman points out in this book, a limit is not an insult, it is a shape. If you're terrified of committing, remember this. A wall can absolutely block you, yes, but it's also the very thing holding the roof up. Letting your endless options go isn't a loss of freedom. It's the essential foundation of actually living. Choose the loss. That is the central cognitive switch this book demands of us. Not choose the win, choose the loss. Your attention only stops leaking when you finally stop demanding infinite time. And here's the secret. Once you accept this, the chosen task might still feel difficult, but it's difficult because it is finally real. Section 3. The Cost of Saying No. When Judgment Enters the Room. It's incredibly easy to praise limits when you're sitting alone in your room. It is vastly harder when social judgment enters the equation. When someone asks for your time, do you launch into an endless explanation, basically begging them for a blessing on your finite life? Or do you swing to cold brevity, using courage as a rigid, impenetrable armor?
The root error in both of these reactions is seeking a sense of total innocence, instead of just taking ownership of your limits. You are going to disappoint people. That's not a bug in your new scheduling method, it's the actual sound of a life taking form. The mature move here is a steady sentence with absolutely no hidden plea for forgiveness. Just say, I cannot do that this week. That is the exact steady phrasing you need to model when the social invoice comes due. And then you stop. No speech, no trial, no frantic bid for moral rescue. When you say no, I promise you will feel an almost unbearable itch to fill that awkward, empty air with replacement noise, just to prove you're still a loyal, good person. Don't do it. Just let the accused silence testify.
Section 4. The practice that stays. The 300-second choice.
We are transitioning from the philosophy of this book to the uncomfortable, immediate practice required. Before tomorrow, you will delete one meaningful but not central commitment. You will name the project it protects, and you will name the future it kills. Act like both names are completely true. This isn't cynicism. It's a necessary act of devotion with clean hands. A saved hour isn't saved until it's actually given to the project that keeps losing to endless preparation. If you don't do this, you've chosen to stay in the holding pattern.
Next, you need to literally claim that deleted space. Open your calendar right now, cross out one optional obligation, and write, I chose finitude directly on that freed hour. Protect that single hour once, and your nervous system finally learns what a consciously chosen limit feels like. Protect it twice, and your entire week actually gains a spine.
Remember this line from 4,000 Weeks? You do not get a life after the backlog. You get this week. The fantasy of achieving total omnipotent control over your time was always the enemy. Start using your daily structure as a fence to protect what matters, not as a false promise of infinite pasture.
300 seconds. Do. Access your growth map. Without it, this book just stays a clever idea, while your calendar keeps training you to endlessly postpone your own life.
Will you keep treating finitude like a scheduling bug, or will you let your limits finally draw your life? It's time to choose the loss, step out of the orbit of infinite options, and into the only life that can actually be lived.